He'd never noticed how soft her footsteps were until they stopped. That was the first thing. The house had gone still, but not empty, a stillness heavy enough to touch. She stood near the window, back angled toward him, one hand pinched on the thin curtain as though the fabric might tell her something. Evening pressed up against the glass. Outside, the sound of a car door clicked shut, fading away down the street. Inside, her perfume, faint, woody, warm, clung to the air the way heat lingers after a flame. He sat on the edge of the sofa, trying not to look like he was waiting. His knee bounced once, stopped. "He's gone," he asked, but it came out softer than he meant. Her fingers loosened on the curtain. "Yes," she said. A pause. "He's gone." Then she drew the fabric closed in one smooth motion. The light shifted, dimmer now, intimate. Her silhouette, framed by the fading sky, turned toward him slowly. He had met her only a handful of times before this, a neighbor, a friend of a friend. She was always composed, graceful in a way that felt practiced, but never stiff. Tonight, without an audience, there was a looseness at the edge of her composure. Her hair wasn't pinned up, a strand curved along her neck. He couldn't help staring. His throat tightened, not with fear, but with something like curiosity burning a little too bright. "It's just us now," she said, voice low. Her words weren't an invitation, not exactly. But they landed somewhere between them, soft as a glove and just as impossible to ignore. She crossed the room, bare feet silent on the hardwood. The scent of her reached him before she did cedar, something citrus under it. She stopped close enough that the hem of her blouse brushed his knee when she shifted her weight. "You're quiet tonight," she said. "I'm not sure what to say." His eyes flicked up and away, then back to hers. She didn't look away. A faint smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. "You usually talk too much," she murmured. He almost laughed, but the sound died in his chest. "Do I?" She lifted one shoulder. "Sometimes." Her hand rested on the back of the sofa, a casual pose, but her fingers tapped once against the fabric, as if she'd meant to do something else, touch him, maybe, but stopped. He felt the brush of her blouse again when she shifted closer. He could see the pale veins at her wrist, the way her pulse beat there. The air between them felt like it carried weight. "Is this okay?" he asked, his voice nearly a whisper. She tilted her head, as though considering. "I don't know yet," she said quietly. Her eyes dropped to his hands, which were clasped tight, then rose to his mouth before darting away. The clock in the hallway ticked, each second louder than it should be. Outside, a gust of wind rattled the branches. He swallowed. She didn't move back. Her fingertips grazed the cushion beside his thigh, then stopped. "You're trembling," she said. He looked down. He was. "It's just cold," he lied. Another pause, longer this time. She inhaled, steady but not deep. "Maybe," she said. Before he could answer, a sound broke the hush, the rattle of the doorknob down the hall, sudden and sharp. Her head snapped toward it, her hair sliding off her shoulder. The curtain fluttered slightly behind her as though it too had been startled. She straightened, smoothing her blouse with quick hands. He rose halfway without knowing why. The knob stilled. Silence again. She turned back to him, eyes darker now. "Stay where you are," she whispered. The hallway stayed silent after the rattle of the doorknob. She waited a beat longer before letting out a breath he almost didn't hear. "Old lock," she murmured, smoothing her blouse again. "Sometimes it slips." He nodded, but didn't sit back down. The room felt smaller now. "You don't have to look so tense," she said. "I'm not," he started, then stopped. His hands betrayed him. They were still clenched. Something softened in her expression. "You're not used to this kind of house," she said, almost teasing but not quite. He gave a small, awkward laugh. "This kind of night," he admitted. She moved past him toward the kitchen. "Tea?" she asked, without waiting for his answer. He followed. The kitchen light was dim, a single pendant lamp pooling warmth over the counter. She reached for cups from the high shelf, stretching up. Her blouse slipped a little at the shoulder, revealing a thin strap and a pale line of skin. He looked away, too late. "You're quiet again," she said over her shoulder. "I'm just trying not to stare." That earned a faint chuckle. "Trying," she echoed, setting the cups down. Her fingers brushed his as she handed him one. The touch was brief, accidental, but it stayed on his skin like heat. "I didn't think you'd come tonight," she said softly. He shifted his weight. "I almost didn't." "Why?" He hesitated. "People talk," he said finally. "About age. About what they think they see." Her eyes flicked up, sharp for a second, then softened again. "They always do," she said. She poured the tea slowly, steam curling between them. "It's never stopped them before." He took the cup, careful not to touch her hand this time. "I'm not worried about them," he lied. "Then what?" He swallowed. "About me." She tilted her head. "You're very young to sound like that," she murmured. He almost smiled. "You're not as old as you pretend." Her lips parted, maybe to protest, but she only shook her head. The silence stretched. The kettle hissed faintly on the still warm burner. "You're lonely," he said quietly, surprising himself. Her eyes flicked to his, then away. "That's a dangerous thing to tell a woman," she said. He set the cup down. "It's not an insult." She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped closer, reaching past him to put the teapot back on the stove. Her shoulder brushed his chest. He caught the faint brush of her breath near his jaw. "You should go soon," she whispered, but didn't move away. He raised a hand, stopped before touching her. "Do you want me to?" Another pause. She let out a small laugh, not amused, more like a sigh in disguise. Her fingers, still on the teapot, trembled once before they steadied. When she finally looked up at him, her eyes held something new, a question, maybe, or a warning. "Sit," she said softly. He sat. She stayed standing, close enough that her hip grazed his shoulder as she reached for her cup. The touch was fleeting, but neither of them moved for a moment, held in the hush between kettle and clock, the air dense with unsaid words. The house creaked somewhere above them, just with settling, he told himself, but it made her freeze mid-sip. "You heard that?" she asked. He nodded. "Maybe the wind?" She set her cup down with care. It didn't sound like wind. They listened. Nothing. Only the low tick of the hallway clock. She exhaled slowly, pressing a palm to the counter as though steadying herself. He wanted to touch that hand, to still its tremor. "You shouldn't be here so late," she murmured. "I'm not bothering you," he said. "That's not the point." She turned to the sink, shoulders tense, but didn't send him away. A phone buzzed on the counter, sharp, unexpected. They both flinched. The screen lit up with a name he didn't recognize. She snatched it before he could read further, thumb hovering over the green button. Then she pressed decline. "They check on you?" he asked quietly. "Sometimes." Her voice was thin. "Too many eyes on me already." He stepped closer. "On us." Her hand still clutched the phone. She set it down face down, as if that could silence the world beyond these walls. "This isn't," she trailed off. "You're too young for this kind of mess." "I'm already in it," he said. She turned then, sharply. "Don't." But she didn't move away. He was close enough now to see the fine lines at the corner of her eyes, the way her pulse fluttered at her neck. His breath brushed her cheek when he spoke again. "You don't want me here?" Her lips parted. "I shouldn't," she whispered. Her shoulder touched his chest, neither of them shifted. She smelled like cedar again, like something warm and steady. He lifted a hand, hesitated, then let his fingers graze her sleeve. She closed her eyes at the touch, just for a heartbeat, then opened them fast. "This isn't a game," she said. "I know." Their silence swelled. He could hear his own pulse, fast and loud. Her hand drifted upward as if to push him back, but it landed on his shoulder instead, light but firm. Her thumb pressed once, a small circle, then stopped. "You're trembling," she said again. "So are you," he said. For a moment they leaned toward each other, a pull more than a choice. His mouth was an inch from hers. He could feel the warmth of her breath. Her eyes flicked to his lips, then away. A sound shattered the hush, the front door clicking open. Voices. Footsteps. She jerked back, but her hand stayed on his shoulder for one lingering second. "Stay quiet," she whispered. The footsteps passed down the hall. A door closed somewhere else in the house. Silence returned, heavier now. She looked at him, eyes dark with something between fear and wanting. Without thinking, he reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. Their fingers stayed laced on the counter, hidden from the doorway closer than they had ever been, yet both holding still, caught between the risk of being seen and the risk of letting go. She shut the kitchen door softly, locking it this time. The click echoed louder than it should have. Her shoulders stayed tense, her hand still on the knob. "You're shaking," he said. She gave a small laugh that wasn't laughter at all. "I can't keep doing this," she whispered. "Doing what?" "This." She turned toward him, eyes bright, almost angry. "Letting you sit here like you're just visiting. Pretending nothing's happening." He stepped closer, his pulse a hammer. "Then stop pretending." Her breath caught. For a heartbeat she didn't move, then she crossed the space between them herself. She stopped so near that the hem of her blouse brushed his stomach. "You don't understand what you're asking," she said quietly. He reached up, brushing a stray piece of hair back from her face. His fingers trembled. He forced them steady. "I'm not asking for anything you don't already feel," he murmured. Her eyes closed briefly at the touch. "You're a child," she said, but the words came out softer than she intended. "I'm 24, he said. "I'm not a boy." She opened her eyes. The distance between them was a breath. "I could lose everything," she said. "People would call me, I don't care what they call you." The silence that followed was thick, a current running between them. She swayed forward a fraction, her forehead almost touching his chin. He felt her exhale against his throat. "Stop looking at me like that," she whispered. "I can't." Her hands, which had been clenched at her sides, rose slowly, resting on his chest. They stayed there, unsure whether to push or pull. He covered them with his own, fingers lacing over hers. "You think you're saving me from loneliness," she said. "But you're only making it worse." He swallowed hard. "Then tell me to go." Her lips parted. Nothing came out. He lowered his head a little, his voice a whisper near her ear. "Tell me." She tilted her face up, eyes wide, pupils dark. "I can't," she said at last. Her fingers tightened on his shirt, wrinkling the fabric. His hand slid from her hair to the back of her neck, thumb tracing the edge of her jaw. She didn't stop him. "Don't do this," she whispered. "Then push me away," he said. Her answer was a sound halfway between a sigh and a sob. She leaned into him just enough that he could feel the shape of her body against his. Their mouths hovered an inch apart, her breath trembling against his lips. "Say something," he murmured. Her eyes searched his. She opened her mouth, a sharp knock rattled the front door. They froze, still pressed together, not yet touching but already past the point of pretending. The knock at the door came again, harder this time. Her whole body went rigid against him. "Don't move," she whispered. But he had already stepped back, heart racing. She smoothed her hair, straightened her blouse, and walked quickly to the living room. The curtains were still drawn. She peered through the crack anyway. Her breath caught. "It's my sister," she murmured. He felt his stomach drop. "Does she?" "I don't know," she said, pressing a palm flat against the wall as if it might hold her up. "She doesn't come here unannounced." Another knock. "I know you're in there," a voice called softly, muffled by the door. She turned back to him. "Stay in the kitchen," she hissed. "Don't say a word." He nodded, retreating behind the doorframe. His hands shook as he gripped the counter. Through the narrow gap, he could see her open the door a fraction. "Is everything okay?" Her sister's voice came, lighter now, but suspicious. "Fine," she said, too fast. "Why are you here?" "I called twice." No answer. "Phone's on silent." Her sister stepped inside. He heard heels click on the hardwood. He tried to shrink into the kitchen shadows. A pause. "You're not alone," the sister said. Silence. "I thought you said you were done with that," her sister added quietly, voice edged. "Done with what?" He thought. "I am," she said, but the way her voice cracked on the word made it sound like a lie. The sister sighed. This isn't fair to him, whoever he is. Another pause. He could see her fingers trembling on the back of a chair. "It's not like that," she said. "Then what is it?" She didn't answer. The sister's heels clicked again, retreating. "You're going to ruin yourself." The door opened, closed. Silence. He stepped out slowly. "She knows," he said. She was still standing in the living room, hand on the chair, head bowed. She's known for a while, she admitted. He blinked. Known about what? Her eyes lifted to his, darker than before. About me, she said. About how I get when I'm lonely. He took a step toward her. How many others? Her lips trembled. It doesn't matter. It does. She turned sharply, brushing past him on her way to the window. The brush of her arm against his set off a jolt. She pulled the curtain aside, staring out at the empty street. I never wanted this for you, she said. I told myself it was just company, just a distraction. Her voice dropped. But it's not. He came up behind her, close enough that his breath stirred the hair at her nape. Then what is it? Her fingers tightened on the curtain. It's everything I shouldn't want, she whispered. He placed a hand lightly on her waist. She didn't move away. Then choose, he said softly. She closed her eyes, leaning back into his palm, a small, helpless motion. I already have, she murmured. The house was silent again. No knock at the door. No sister. Just them, the air heavy, their breaths uneven. She still stood at the window, curtain bunched in her fist. He stayed behind her, close enough to feel the warmth from her back. The small space between them felt alive, like a current waiting to close. You said you'd already chosen, he said quietly. Her head bowed. I did. He moved closer until his chest brushed her shoulder blade. Then why are you still holding the curtain? She let the fabric slip from her hand. It fell back into place, sealing out the street. The room dimmed, everything soft and shadowed. She turned to face him. They were inches apart now. You don't know what this will cost me, she whispered. I don't care. Her eyes searched his, looking for doubt. You should. He raised a hand, fingers trembling, and brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. She closed her eyes at the touch. You make it sound like it's only your choice, he said. It isn't. A sound escaped her, not quite a laugh, not quite a sob. You're so young, she murmured. You still believe you can just want something and take it. I don't want to take, he said. I want you to meet me halfway. Her hands rose slowly, resting against his chest, flat at first, then curling in his shirt. The movement was small, instinctive, but it pulled him a fraction closer. I swore I wouldn't do this again, she whispered. I swore I'd stop trying to fill the empty parts of me with people who don't belong there. He bent his head, voice low near her ear. Then don't let me in. Push me away. Tell me no. She didn't. Her breath shuddered against his jaw. I can't. He cupped her face now, palms against her cheeks. Her skin was warm, trembling under his thumbs. Look at me. She did. For a long, quiet moment they simply stared, a silent, messy confession neither of them could dress up with words. You're going to break me, she whispered. Or I'll save you, he said. Her lips parted. No one saves anyone. His forehead touched hers, light, tentative. Then just stay. Something in her posture softened, the tension melting enough for her to lean into his hands. She inhaled slowly, eyes closing. I'm tired of pretending, she said. I know. They stood like that, bodies not yet joined but no space left for denial. The choice hung there between them, not clean or simple, but real. When she opened her eyes again, they were wet but steady. If we do this, she whispered, there's no going back. He nodded once. I'm already here. Her fingers rose to his jaw, trembling. Then come closer, she said softly. He did. And in the hush of the sealed room, everything they'd been circling finally came into focus. Two people, flawed and unhidden, stepping across the line they'd drawn themselves. The room was still dim, the only light coming from the hallway nightlamp seeping under the door. She sat on the edge of the sofa now, arms folded loosely in her lap. He stood for a moment, unsure if he should sit beside her or give her space. Finally, she patted the cushion. Here, she said softly. He sank down, close but not touching. Their knees brushed once, then again when neither of them moved. For a long time they didn't speak. The clock ticked. A car passed outside, throwing a slice of light across the floor. I thought I'd regret this, she murmured at last. You don't. Her fingers twisted in her lap. Not in this moment, she said. Ask me tomorrow. He almost smiled. I'll still be here tomorrow. That made her look at him. There was no defiance in her eyes now, only a quiet steadiness. You're not afraid anymore? I'm still afraid, he said. But I'm done pretending I'm not. She let out a slow breath. I've spent years telling myself I'm too old for mistakes, she said. But maybe this isn't one. He reached out, hesitant, and took her hand. She didn't pull away. Their fingers laced together naturally, palms warm. You make it sound so easy, she whispered. It's not easy, he said. It's just honest. She leaned her head back against the sofa, eyes closing. Honest, she repeated, tasting the word. That would be new. He lifted her hand and pressed it to his forehead, a small gesture that surprised them both. She brushed her thumb across his hairline. I kept thinking of you as a boy, she said softly. But right now you don't feel like one. He leaned closer, forehead almost touching hers. And you don't feel untouchable anymore, he said. Her lips curved at the corner, not a smile exactly, but something easing open. This is terrifying, she whispered. Yeah. Her other hand came up and rested at the back of his neck. She pulled him forward until their foreheads met fully. They stayed like that, eyes closed, breathing in sync. No rushing, no audience, just the quiet weight of two people choosing each other in a small, private room. When she spoke again, her voice was steadier. Whatever happens, we decide together, she said. Together, he echoed. They didn't need a kiss to seal it. The way her fingers tightened around his and the way he let out a shaky laugh was enough. She shifted, leaning into his side, and he wrapped an arm around her. They sat like that for a long while, two silhouettes against the drawn curtain. Outside, the street was silent. Inside, the fear and hesitation had lost their edge. All that was left was warmth. She tilted her head toward him. Stay tonight, she asked quietly. He nodded. I'm here. Her eyes closed, her body easing against his. For the first time that evening, she smiled.